Hello there guys, what is going on? SonOfChelsea back here again for another edition of my Team Selector ahead of the game at home to Spurs tomorrow in the Premier League. It's a massive game for Chelsea. I think it's a brilliant test for us. I think Frank Lampard couldn't have asked for a bigger test, a tougher test of his team to really see and sort of pinpoint how much progress we've made over the last month. I think it's been very easy over this last, say, 6-game winning run for people to caveat it all and say, these are teams Chelsea should be beating, which I understand. From an outside perspective, I think historically some of those teams, Newcastle away, Sheffield United at home games, we dropped points in last year. I think there has been improvement, but in terms of the big games, this is a big one for Chelsea and a massive test to see how much we've improved, not only in defence, which I think is the key sort of question tomorrow against a really good attack, but also the midfield balance issue, how we look in attack, how potent we look, how the chemistry works tomorrow. I think it's going to be a massive test for Chelsea, all things considered. But going into team news, Frank Lampard pretty optimistic and positive that he basically has a fully fit squad. I think the exception being Billy Gilmour, who isn't injured. He's just getting match fitness now for the development squad, which is good. But the big news is Christian PULISIC is back in the squad for tomorrow. Great news. I think PULISIC, it's about getting him back on the pitch now in a crucial period of the season. The issue is with the quality that we saw from PULISIC, especially at the run-in last season. We haven't seen it so far this season based on the fitness issues that PULISIC continues to have. And that's going to be an issue and a question and a concern when he gets back onto the pitch. Can he remain fit? Because if he can and he reaches top form again, he's unplayable. He really is for Chelsea. But great to see him back fit after that injury. Other than that, it seems all good. Kai Havertz, I'm sure, will be assessed as well. But going into this game and dealing with Jose Mourinho, I mean, he's really got this Spurs team clicking now. They're on a good run of form, just like Chelsea. They've had some really impressive results. Man United away, a really convincing, 6-1 victory. Beating Man City last week 2-0. That was a classic Jose Mourinho masterclass, basically. So Chelsea have got to be wary. And despite the fact that we did do the double over them last season, this is a very different Spurs team with a different energy, a different vibe to them. They've got Harry Kane back fit. Kane and Son have been incredible so far this season. Kane not only being an amazing goal scorer, which we know already, but he has 9 assists from his first 9 Premier League matches. 7 of those have been for Son goals. So the connection between those two, they're breaking records pretty consistently and dropping deeper. That's going to be the issue for Chelsea, of being able to counteract that threat also on transition. I don't think it's too much of a stretch to guess that Jose will try and hit us on the break tomorrow. I think he'll try to hit us on transition because that's where Spurs can be pretty effective. That's the way Jose Mourinho plays in these big games, especially away from home. He'll look to set up deep. He'll look to set up rigidly to try and stop our biggest threats. Looking at their last team, I know Toby Alderweireld is going to be out, which is a big miss for Spurs. He's been really good so far this season for them in that 4-2-3-1 formation. I think Højbjerg, that's going to be a massive battle in the midfield. He's going to be a really dogged player within there for Spurs to try and win the ball back, to try and stop our biggest threats. So you've got to look out for him, the battle in there with our midfield. And as well, Tonga Ndombele, he has been incredible so far this season, a player transformed, and we're starting to see the best form of him. He's going to be a really dangerous player tomorrow, finding those pockets of space in between the lines, dancing around Man City players last week and setting up the first goal for Son. And Son, we know how deadly he can be on the break as well, in behind the defence. So this is a big test for Chelsea. It really is. There's no denying that. And going into this game and the way I want Lampard to approach this game, in my opinion, I know there's been some suggestion Lampard could switch to a 3-4-3, which works so well against Spurs in both occasions last year. I don't think he should, because I don't want him to compromise, and I want to see this 4-3-3 tested against top opposition. I want to see if it can work. I want to see if Kante as a lone DM can work. I just want to see the team we've seen already and we've seen recently work so well. Can they do it in a big game? So I think a 4-3-3 is going to be the formation. Edouard Mendy in goal, 7 clean sheets out of 10 starts so far in his Chelsea career. Can he step up on the biggest occasion tomorrow for Chelsea and get another clean sheet and hopefully help us in maybe getting a big victory tomorrow? The back four, we know what it is right now, and it's great to go into a big game like this. Many times last season we didn't really know our best defence, but now I think we sort of do, or at least going into this game we do. Reece James at right back, Kurt Zouma, Thiago Silva and Ben Chilwell. A massive game for them to see how far they've come, how they can deal with top level opposition and attackers that are going to test them, that are going to stretch them. The leadership of Thiago Silva, the improved form of Kurt Zouma, the acceleration of both Ben Chilwell and Reece James, the creativity of of Reece James, but also the defensive improvement we've seen from Reece James. Can he do it once again against some really good attackers? So it's going to be a big test for that defense. In midfield, obviously already saying N'Golo Kante going up against Kane in a deeper role. The number of interceptions he's had so far this season is reaching sort of 16-17 levels, the height of that under Antonio Conte in Chelsea's title-winning season. So that's great going into a game like this, but it's going to be a massive test for Kante in that lone DM role, going up against a player like Kane, but of course the other Tottenham midfielders and other threats as well. Can he have a massive world-class performance for Chelsea in that midfield? Alongside him, I think Mason Mount, a big game for him. He's been incredible recently. Another incredible performance against Rennes. The energy, the pressing, the tactical awareness, all vital in a game of this magnitude for Chelsea. So let's hope he has a big performance for Chelsea. And hopefully want a bit of redemption, because of course he missed the penalty against Spurs in the League Cup. What was that, in September? So hopefully for him, motivation going into a big game. And he performed really well both times against Spurs last season in the Premier League. And rounding off that midfield three is going to be Mateo Kovacic, who's still got that issue with the Kai Havertz sort of fitness. I don't think he'll be starting this game. He may start against Sevilla, but I think Kova, I said this when I was speaking to Louis in my big preview. I think that Kova, although I'm not going to say he excels in defensive attributes, but I do think he's one of Chelsea's best tacklers. And I think in terms of winning the ball back in key areas to help Chelsea stay in possession, press resistance, all of that good stuff, I think Kova excelling. And I also want to see tomorrow against what is going to be likely a very rigid Spurs defence, off the ball runs. That's what Kova needs to do pretty well for Chelsea, to create space, to move players out of position, to hopefully create space for the likes maybe of the attackers Chelsea will have in front of Kova as well. So I think for me, a big game for Kovacic as well tomorrow. Let's hope he performs once again. Of course, on the right, it's going to be Hakim Ziyech. Creatively, one of the best players in the Premier League at the moment. As you can see, these stats here compiled by expected Chelsea of big chances created. He really is doing wonders so far this season for Chelsea. He's sort of breaking records at times in terms of what he can do, even in short periods of time. You know, coming off the bench against Rennes, setting up two big chances there. We know how effective he is, and I know that Jose Mourinho will be focusing on shutting down the left foot of Hakim Ziyech, because if Ziyech gets that space, he can be absolutely deadly. And it's in this type of game you want to see Ziyech step up and really create the chances for Chelsea to win this game. On the left, I do think it's going to be Timo Werner. He's had some disappointing showings, especially that Rennes game, missing big chances. But for me, you buy a player like Timo Werner for a game like this, and I still, even with sort of that fear of overplaying him, I think there's been enough rest between the Rennes game and this one. For me, Timo Werner has to start, and he needs to be taking his chances, because they ain't going to come as freely as against Newcastle, most likely. But I still think you've got to be playing Timo Werner on that left. It's been working for Chelsea, even though he did have a difficult night against Rennes. And up front, there has been some sort of whispers about Olivier Giroud getting a chance based on the fact he came off the bench and scored that winner against Rennes. But I think Tammy deserves to start. I think he's deserved to start for goals against Rennes, Sheffield United and Newcastle recently. But just his all-round play, you know, hold-up play, his tactical awareness, I think making intelligent runs as a striker, also growing that connection with Timo Werner. I think both of those players have found a nice chemistry as well. And I just think Tammy in a big game deserves to start here for Chelsea. So that is my lineup for tomorrow. Chelsea versus Spurs, my team selector. Let me know your lineups in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter at SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.